I'm Bree, and this is the Mercury Podcast. I believe that words are powerful and that they deeply affect the ways in which we process life. Words can change how we think and feel forever. Thank you for entering this space with me, where I use my words to reassemble perspectives, heal, inspire, and bring joy. Welcome back to another episode of the Mercury Podcast. I'm Bree, and I'm so thankful to you for showing up today. Just give yourself a little tender shoulder rub for making it through another week, where the weeks and days and months are all looking the same, but we're trying our best to focus on what we have rather than what we don't. In this episode, we are going to detangle the word forgiveness. But before I dive in, here's this week's bubblegum. Something for you to chew on, spit out, or stick somewhere. According to the Great Good magazine, Science-Based Insights for a Meaningful Life, published by UC Berkeley, in an article entitled, "What is Forgiveness? Forgiveness Defined," it says that psychologists generally define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward a person or group who has harmed you, regardless of whether they actually deserved your forgiveness. Just as important as defining what forgiveness is, it is also important to understand what forgiveness is not. Experts who study or teach forgiveness make clear that when you forgive, you do not gloss over or deny the seriousness of an offense against you. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean condoning or excusing offenses. Though forgiveness can help repair a damaged relationship, that is, one that is healthy, it does not obligate you to reconcile with the person who harmed you or release them from legal accountability. Instead, forgiveness brings the forgiver peace of mind and frees him or her from corrosive anger. While there is some debate over whether true forgiveness requires positive feelings toward the offender, experts agree that it at least involves letting go of deeply held negative feelings. In that way, it empowers you to recognize the pain you suffered without letting that pain define you, enabling you to heal and move on with your life. While early research focused on forgiveness of others by individuals, new areas of research are starting to examine the benefits of self-forgiveness. That gave me a lot to chew on, and this is how I broke it down. I want us to accept, to truly accept that there are no negative emotions. Let's say that all together. There are no negative emotions. Because together, emotions all play a part in us fully functioning as human beings to our maximum capacity. And if you would like a visual representation of this, I suggest watching the film Inside Out by Disney. We often fail to realize that anger is just an emotion that cares very deeply about things being fair. How anger is expressed is how it scares us. But there's nothing wrong with anger. So it's only natural that you'll feel this emotion when you've experienced some sort of hurt. And that's okay, because beneath the stomping and the screaming and the rage is just a little person that wants justice. There should never be any guilt or shame attached to that feeling. You are not a bad person for expressing it. However, I do agree that anger is an emotion that should never be expressed onto those persons who did not cause harm in the first place. And this is why I believe Resentment is so attached to forgiveness because you have a lot of people walking around with anger that was never released in the right place. People who have never healed, and people who are going around looking for an apology from someone to make things better. Which brings us to that quote, hurt people hurting people, because no one has healed from anything. And then that turns into bitterness because forgiveness puts so much emphasis on it being a two-way street between you and someone else. Forgiveness does not unlock or lock the ability for you to release yourself from any situation you may be facing right now. And as we've discussed in previous episodes, sitting with your pain and making peace with that should be a practice. Being defined by your pain is nothing to run away from, because that's where the beauty springs forth, especially when it is used to empower you and to realize something that you didn't before, and in the process to help others heal themselves. So yes, please be defined by your pain. This is why I want us to hold on to the words, forget forgiveness and remember healing. Forget forgiveness and remember healing. Forget forgiveness and remember healing. I stand on the side of the debate that you will never reach positive feelings towards an event or person because there are no positive or negative emotions. There are only emotions that need a healthy place to express themselves in order to nurture your healing. You do not need to beg someone or ask someone to help you release your own anger in order to move forward, which is essentially what they say forgiveness is. Or have someone ask you to release them. That sounds insane to my ears, but that is the process of forgiveness that most of us have all come to know. Do not give people this power. People are hurting for years because they didn't get that kiss on the forehead, handwritten letter, one-on-one talk, phone call, text message, that hug, and that apology from that relative or best friend or coworker. To me, that's what forgiveness always looked like: a physical embrace and reconciliation, some form of reunion, kiss and make up, like my family would say when I was younger. But the reality is that you don't always get that. You may, but in most cases, we don't. And so what? That person must be dragged along with you for the rest of your life until you do? And in some instances, the person is no longer physically here. And you're still craving for these things that you didn't get to experience. What happens is that you end up holding on to the anger instead of releasing it. You don't give it a place to go. You don't heal. And you stay secretly wishing in your heart that someone will say the words, "I am sorry," and then you will be set free. Or you punish yourself because you believe that you have to reach a place of positive emotions towards the situation or individual or group of people in order for you to move forward with your life. So you find yourself saying things like, well, I'm happy she did that. I'm grateful that he did that to me. You're not. The truth is, you're not thankful that that happened to you. You do not have to thank the person, because whatever it is you learn, whatever you do with your life from that point onward, was you putting in the work to heal, not the other person. You owe it to yourself to pour all of that gratitude for getting back up again when life gave you all the reasons not to. You don't have to feel good about being hurt. You should aim to reach a place of indifference, which is such a peaceful place. And the word indifference means a lack of interest in someone or something. You don't dislike something or like something, which paints you in a very neutral state, allowing you to heal with no distractions, is how I see it. Because only you can take care of your wounds. Again, this is how the body was naturally designed from a physical standpoint. And I'd also like to think it can be as equally converted to our spiritual and mental healing. If you're on the flip side of forgiveness and you hurt someone, the same rule applies. You do not need them to set you free from something you honestly tried to mend. You can make peace knowing that you've tried your best and have respect for the other person who needs to heal from what you did with kindness, and then just let life run its course. This year, forgiveness was my big life's question. What was the right way to do it? Everywhere I turned, it looked different to everyone. I got so exhausted trying to find those answers because people just threw more words at me. They were nice words, but I noticed that there was no actions linked to forgiveness, but just a lot of words that we're all longing to hear deep down. So, what did this mean for me? I'm no longer in contact with this person to protect my peace of mind. I'm wanting the other person to feel my pain, to understand my story, and to see my truth, admit they were wrong, and earnestly drop everything to try to see me so I could get a really gigantic hug. Yes, the symbol of my healing was embedded in someone hugging me and telling me they were sorry. Which, may I add as a side note, is sometimes why we gloss over analyzing situations that are toxic for us because we don't align words with actions. And sorry has conditioned us to feeling like progress is being made without truly keeping score of someone being accountable for their actions. And so they can hurt you over and over again. And you wonder why you didn't see it. Well, because they were probably really good at apologizing. Another thing to keep in mind. If I could have that face to face, one on one conversation, then I could move forward. I played the scene over and over in my head. We would go to dinner, order our favorite foods, eat until we waddle from the table, sit down and laugh and cry and heal together because forgiveness was between two people, right? Well, I didn't get that. But what I did get was a treadmill and a metaphor. I gifted myself for my birthday earlier this year a treadmill. It's a pandemic. If they want me inside, I have to feel like my life has some movement and that I was able to run because running is what keeps me grounded. It's what keeps me feeling good and especially close to my dad because it's what we can do for hours together. This, my friends, is an example of anger being placed in a very healthy space. I did not process my hurt onto the cashier at the supermarket or a car in front of me that may be driving a little slow or a coworker, but just into a heavy piece of machinery. So there I was. I had the music up really loud. I was in my groove trying to accomplish beating the time I had for running the day before. And the song that I had playing was exactly what I was feeling. And it made me want to push even harder, to burn off more steam. You know those songs that capture every single emotion in the lyrics? Okay, it was one of those days. So I got lost in the music and I was running off my anger. And my hand accidentally turned up the speed to maximum. And I was not wearing the emergency clip. Boom! I was on the ground, running for dear life. My legs gave way, and that was it. I could have broken my neck. There were 1,000 different possibilities of things that could have gone wrong because it was so dangerous. I'll never do it again. Disclaimer. Okay, always run with the emergency clip. I came off and immediately I saw some scrapes because I didn't see any blood right away. I decided I was going to prove the story in my head wrong and push through this pain. But then, as I was about to go back on the treadmill, I found it difficult to walk. I could barely walk to the bathroom. As the adrenaline wore off, I could barely walk to the bathroom. And that same day, I had some FaceTime calls, like shortly after, from family and friends. But I was in so much pain, I didn't want to tell anyone about it. It was the weirdest thing. These were people who loved me and knew me my entire life, but I just didn't feel like talking about it. I just felt embarrassed in some strange way. I didn't want the attention being drawn to me, so I kept quiet. But as the pain intensified, I couldn't ignore it anymore. And the wounds were so ugly. I didn't even want to show my family and closest friends how ugly they were. It was just so sad to look at my legs, to see these open wounds. The pain was so bad, we weren't sure if I needed stitches. And this was in the middle of a lockdown, okay? So I wasn't trying to go anywhere. But the remarkable thing about this was that I was in so much pain, but I wanted to know what everyone else thought I should do with my pain. And every person had a different remedy. Of course, I took what the doctor said, but even though the doctor told me what to do, I still had to assess what I thought was best for myself. It still came back to me, even though I had the support of my friends and family to help me endure this pain. And I realized that beneath all of it, beneath all of that anger that day, was the focus on them and not me. I'm saying this because I want us to be more mindful of our intent behind the process of our healing. The conscious decision to release something will always come from within you. And that's not self-forgiveness either, because you have nothing to give yourself. The only thing you have to receive is the call to heal. And at times, it is an ugly process, but with beautiful scars that reminds you of where you've been and grants you more wisdom to know how to handle what's next. My stars, this week, I'd like for you to write everything you want to say to someone or to that situation. Put it on paper with the intent that it would serve as medicine for your soul, remembering healing. For me, shortly after this incident, a shift began to happen. Once I put myself at the center, I spoke nicer to myself, which I believe are the words that facilitate the healing process. The words that we are longing to hear are the ones that we are not telling ourselves. I wrote 13 pages in one sitting, back and front, with the belief that it would be a physical manifestation of ridding my body of being controlled by someone to make life move forward. To unlearn what I thought forgiveness looked like and focus on my healing, to watch my wounds in their natural habitat with tenderness and softness, with no pressure to be or feel anything, but merely a passerby in the evolution of my healing process. This is what you deserve. Until next time, thank you for visiting my planet. I love you. I appreciate you, and I am so proud of you. Thank you so much for listening. And if you'd like to follow me in my own personal journey, let's take this party to Instagram at The Life of Bree, and that's BRE with 5 E's.